Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Foxy98 here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2020 My Team career mode for you guys today here on the channel. Today we're here for the Italian Grand Prix season number 2, and we're going to crack things on here at the Temple of Speed and have a lot of fun. But hopefully we can have a great race, and if you haven't enjoyed today's video, feel free to drop it a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here as well, as we look to try and get towards 20,000 subscribers. And now, as you can see here, we're pretty much having a look at the market value, seeing where everyone is, and despite Hamilton being 100 rated, he's still cheaper than Sergio Perez, who's actually gone up in value by quite some margin. He was about 8 million when he was in my team, and now all of a sudden he's up to 13.5. So he's gained a lot of value by not being in my team, which is quite funny. But yeah, pretty much just having a look through the finances here, and basically just showcasing to everyone that I am a financial genius. And we're going to go into the race weekend now and get cracking with the Grand Prix weekend here at Italy. I can confirm for the Italian Grand Prix, we are going to be taking our second engine penalty. Of course, we took one in the last race at the Belgian Grand Prix, but we're going to be taking another one here. So hopefully then, these two engines that I do have then on the car, we can then use them for the rest of the season. That's the aim, and we're just basically having a look. So durability, we're very close to the bottom because we haven't really focused on that. Chassis, we've got the best on the grid, and we have got a tyre wear upgrade on the way. Aerodynamics, we are very, very far ahead in that section. And then in terms of the engine power, we are level-ish pretty much with Mercedes-Benz. We'll go in front of them once we have gone ahead and purchased the upgrade. Of course, the order is Foursquare, Mercedes, Renault, Ferrari, McLaren, Racing Point, Red Bull, AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo, Haas, Williams. I managed to see that in the end there. But as you can see then, we've completed the practice programs because now I've got 1,250 resource points in my back pocket. And I was having a look at potentially looking at something maybe to upgrade, but I think I hold on to my points unless I do them at the end. But as you can see, we're now taking our penalty warning messages here because we're going to go ahead and get a brand new engine on. So hopefully then we can take those to the end of the season, and it means compared to last season, we've taken a lot less penalties heading into the race weekend. But in towards qualifying now then, of course, we're just going to do the one run in Q1 just to get a little bit of an understanding and a feel for the circuit. And then from there on in, really, we're just going to retire from the session. So, yeah, it just gives us at least an opportunity to actually take part. Because, of course, you know, we could just not go out at all. But, you know, keeping it with, you know, real-time F1. Get out there, just get a lap on the board, just see how I feel about it. So let's have a little look then. So as we come around the last corner here, Parabolica, coming towards the start-finish line now here, Ricciardo's hit to 1 minute 16.9. We came across the line with a 117.2, 3/10 of a second shy. Again, wasn't really trying too hard to get a good lap in. I was just, you know, setting the one run and that was it. And it actually turned slightly damp towards there. We get a 50-place grid penalty. Let's go. I actually got P2 in the end. I stayed there, which was quite surprising. I guess the track conditions just got much, much worse. But for me, that's completely fine because I'm not looking to qualify. And as you can see, I don't. Lewis Hamilton goes fastest in Q2, ahead then of Perez and Ricciardo. Us, meanwhile, you'll see us down here getting knocked out of Q2 because I didn't set a run. Or set a lap, sorry, because, you know, save the engine mileage. So we're not going to bother with that. Now, speaking of along with Claire, she's just informed me that it's been a good day today, despite the fact that, you know, we not starting last. Trying to, you know, get a bit of rattleness within my team. Not having that. In terms of not making it into Q3, how will it affect my strategy? It's just going to get to the front and win. That is literally my strategy. I don't have any other strategy. We've got the best car on the grid. We need to try and get to the front of the field. We need to try and win the Grand Prix. It's as simple as that. So that's what we're going to try and do. But as you can see then, in terms of the rivalry breakdown to myself and Bottas, that's 12-7. Valtteri doing a good job in the qualifying, but we're outdoing him in the races, of course, which is giving us that upper hand as we're now on driver acclaim level 14, Hamilton on 18, and then we're on team acclaim 18. So that's where we stand in that region. Looking then at the grid itself then going into this Italian Grand Prix, so Lewis Hamilton once again keeps up his 100% pole scoring record for Force career. Literally since I've signed him, he has always started on pole, which is mad. Ricciardo, though, starts on the front row alongside him. That's been quite interesting, actually, because Daniel Ricciardo has been the standout this season. He's been outperforming that Renault to an absolute treat. I believe he's second in the championship to me. I could be wrong, but yeah, he's my closest title challenger, which is mad. So fair play to him. But as you can see then, we are all the way down there in last place with a big old grid penalty to our name, which is lush. But I was going to take it nonetheless. But as you can see, surprise, 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 it's bloody wet. So, yeah. But luckily, though, it is going to dry out later on. So, that should help us out in this phase. But as you can see then, let's get onto the grid here. We've got 5 red lights, and it's lights out, and we go here for the start of the Italian Grand Prix. It's been a very slow start from literally everyone on the grid there. We've got a nice getaway though, already past both Williams and the Alfa Romeo as we head down in towards the first corner here, getting covered off now by George Russell in the second Haas car. But now as we can just navigate our way down the inside of as many cars as we possibly can, and yeah, we're going to now be stuck to the outside line here, but we can go right the outside of Sainz, and that's him overtaken. Now we can try and press on with it. I think we're up into 13th place by the time we got through that first corner, as we now fly through the Curva Grande here for the first time in these full wet conditions. The Ferraris there showcasing what they can do for the Tifosi home crowd, who actually are here in the game. We're going to go down the inside of Albon though and make a nice slick overtake on the Red Bull driver. It gets a little bit wayward on the back end there. Sainz takes advantage of that. Albon drops a few places. We've got very wide though in the first Lesmo there. That's going to put us slightly off course heading towards the back of Verstappen, but we can hold on with that. Now onto the second lap of the Grand Prix here. Verstappen is in our sights. Oh my god, I can't talk to that. He's in our sights. Speaking of Sainz, though, we've gone very wide on the second Lesmo here. That's going to allow Carlos to have a little run at this here. So now as we go on to the run down towards Ascari, Sainz is on our right-hand side. Now as we go towards the run to Ascari, we've actually got a little bit more straight line speed here than the McLaren, and we can just go down the inside. Sainz actually breaks a little bit later, makes contact with the side of my car there, but we managed to stay in P13. At the moment, really struggling in the opening phases to get the car working in the full wet conditions. Short and short, it's because I had a dry setup on. I didn't change to a wet setup. Which is my bad, but nevertheless, we're just going to have to run with a dry setup in full wet. It's what could possibly go wrong, as we're now trying to see if we can press on Verstappen here onto lap 4 of the Grand Prix now. That's more like it, 1:31.0, 9/10 of a second better than what we've done before, as we now get a great run on Verstappen, going in towards the first corner now, braking a bit early. Verstappen dives it down the inside of Lance Stroll here, goes down the inside of the Racing Point driver. That'll change to the outside line for the second part of the chicane, but in the wet conditions, you'll get a better run off the exit, and Verstappen does make the place then. So despite me attacking Verstappen and him defending, he turned the defenses into attacks. We get a back end tank slapper there through Curva Grande. Sainz might just try and have a little look at us here. Really still struggling to get a grip in this Grand Prix, as Stroll now drops to P11, and we're now going to have to try and follow the Racing Point down onto the straight, and which we do now to lap 5 of the Grand Prix. Verstappen beginning to pull away now from Lance Stroll, but for us though, we really need to make some progress in this Grand Prix. We're not making as much progress as I anticipated. Now as we go onto the straight here with ERS enabled now, going to brake a little bit later than Lance Stroll, go down the inside of Stroll, but we've got in way too deep for that corner. That is a complete mess there, and I completely slowed down, backed off there, and we're going to let Lance Stroll through. And luckily, the game didn't give me a 3-second time penalty, because a lot of the times, the game can just do that. Even if you back off and let the driver that you were attacking through, it still gives you a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. We got very lucky there, and I'm very grateful that we didn't get penalised there. So yeah, but you can already see that the heat is starting to rise within the cockpit as we're struggling to really make an impact in this Grand Prix, and the frustration starts to build in as lap 7 of the Grand Prix now. We're going to have another look at Stroll. We're going to go down the inside of Lance Stroll into the first corner. A little bit of a barge there, but at the end of the day, you know, the frustration was already built at this point, and I think the frustration lasts for a lot longer. So for now, we're back. We're in front of Stroll. Now we've got a 2.5 second gap to Verstappen. By lap 8, we're going to close that down. However, I'm actually not going to bother closing it down. Lap 8 of the Grand Prix, we're actually going to come in for our first stop of the Grand Prix onto the intermediate compound tyres, and so do a bunch of other drivers. For the last 3 or 4 laps, Jeff, I've been contacting him on the radio, and he's constantly been saying he doesn't know if the intermediates or the full wets are the faster tyre. So I was a bit like, well, I don't really know what to do. I don't know what tyre to go on, because if he doesn't know what's the fastest, I'm a bit confused. So in the end, I just decided on lap 8, as soon as I saw 1 or 2 cars come into the pits, I was like, fine, I'm coming to the pits, I'm going on inters. If they go on wets, they go on wets. If they go on inters, they go on inters, which pretty much they all went onto the intermediate. So we pretty much made the right call, but we probably could have done that a lap or 2 earlier and maybe got a better undercut. But at least some have stayed out on the full wet, so we can still take advantage of that, which is absolutely fine. As we skip on now to the end of the lap here, there is Max Verstappen, and there is the undercut working nicely for us. So we're now in front of the Dutchman, and next up is going to be Lando Norris in the McLaren. So that actually worked, because we were 1.2 seconds back from Verstappen. The gap is now up to 1.5 seconds in our favour. So yeah, pretty much 2 seconds, a bit of a difference there. Now as you can see here, Lando Norris is attacking Jack Aitken, my former teammate, as he is now trying to press onwards on his full wet tyres. Unfortunately, we have got to a stage now where those full wets are no longer the right tyres. My teammate Hamilton there coming into the pit, still leading the Italian Grand Prix as Norris now goes down the inside of Aiken in towards Ascari, puts him off balance slightly. We're going to go around the outside of Aiken into through the Ascari corner. That's a lovely bit of overtaking maneuver there. Very well managed, that one. And great reaction there to spot that Aiken was going to go wide and take a slow apex in there so we can work onto that one. As lap 12 of the Grand Prix now, we've just set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far. Pace is definitely picking up now as we go in towards the first corner here. Gap to myself and Norris is, well, literally nothing now as we go onto the straight towards the Curva Grande here. Going to use the ERS now as much as we possibly can. We've actually got a very nice run here on Lando Norris. Seeing that, I'm actually going to keep it in the overtake mode. Now we're going to go towards the inside line here, break a little bit early, and then let the car roll into the corner. And down the inside we go on Norris. We're up into P8 now in this Grand Prix. Daniel Ricciardo actually now leads the Italian Grand Prix, so he must have undercut Hamilton and went on to the intermediate tyres first, which is bad news for Force career, as he now has actually started to pull away in this race. Is now onto lap 16 of the Grand Prix. Time is actually flying by in this race. We're now onto the back of Vettel here, so as you can see, in towards first corner. We're now going to just quickly short shift into third and now let the car fully max itself out as we use the ERS here, chucking the car into rich fuel mixture. And as you can see, let's see if Vettel is putting up any form of a fight. Not really, actually. His defense is a little bit weaker than Norris's as we go down the inside in towards first corner again. I break a little bit earlier than Seb. Probably could have broken a little bit later. We then cut off the second half of the corner, and that allows us to pull away up to P7 now in this Italian Grand Prix as we look to press onwards in this race. Lap 18 to start lap 19. We're about to set our new personal best lap of the Grand Prix, but we're actually going to come in for a second stop here for the intermediate tyres once again as we now look to see what the rest of the drivers do. Leclerc and Ocon stay out, I'll come in. That's exactly what I was going to do. I was going to do the opposite to Leclerc and Ocon. They decided to stay out, so we're coming in. And let's see if we can try and get another undercut then to boost our way through the field. Because at the moment, we seem to be a little bit more better at getting the undercut overtakes done rather than actual overtakes on circuit. I'll be honest, not running a wet setup was really a bad idea. I just completely forgot about it. Yeah, I was really struggling, especially in the middle sector. The third sector was okay. Ascari was a little bit dodgy. Sector 1, I was absolutely rapid. Like, I was so quick. But it didn't really make a difference when I was so slow in the other portions of the track. I should have taken it into consideration. But speaking of Leclerc and Ocon, here they come now out of the pit lane. We've got Ocon then out of the pit, so that's very nice for us. Now going in towards the chicane here, we're going to go around the outside Leclerc in towards the chicane there with the tyres up to temperature. Leclerc sticking to the inside line ever so slightly. Very opportunistic move there from ourselves, but we've got the job done on Charles Leclerc. We're up into P6 now in this Italian Grand Prix. It's on to lap 21 of the Grand Prix now. We continue to press onwards in this race, closing up to Bottas now, gap 2.3 seconds. We've got a yellow flag there now, going down towards Parabolica, so somebody's had a problem in there. I'm not quite sure who it is though. It looks like one of the Haas cars, but I could be wrong on that one. But eventually, we'll find out who's out of the race, and we'll get a replay of why they're out and what actually caused that. But for us though, also, Lewis Hamilton has actually retaken the lead now. It's Jack Aiken in the Haas car that is out of the race there. So, yeah, but Hamilton now has also taken the lead back off Ricciardo. So they're having a great scrap of things. Here is Aiken, though. So this is why he is out of the race. Some sort of mechanical problem there. Parks him up exactly where Jenson Button parked his car in 2012 when his car broke down. DRS, though, has been enabled here on lap 22 of the Grand Prix. So getting close towards the end now of this race. And the DRS has been enabled. And I've decided that I'm going to pit for the set of soft tyres. It's a bit of a strange one, but I think it's the right way to go. Ricciardo and Hamilton both stay out for another lap. One of the racing points, though, is coming into the pits. That's Magnussen coming in, and I'm going to follow K-Mag in and go onto a fresh set of soft tyres now and get to the end of the Grand Prix. Now, the question is will the AI stay out and risk it on their intermediate tyres, hoping that the track conditions just about favour them as much as possible, or will it dry out so much that the inters will be, you know, the 12 seconds a lap slow that they normally are, as we now come out of the pits here behind K-Mag, yeah, it's going to be quite an interesting feat, but we've now literally used the wets, the intermediates twice, and the softs once here, as Lance Stroll annoyingly comes out in front of us on the inters, which is an absolute pain in the backside. But now as we make our way through here, we're going to be able to sort this one out quite nicely with a little bit of a switch back line here on Lance Stroll's tyres. Get up to temperature. Now we can open up the tabs here with some ERS deployment and using our battery on the straight here. Stroll, though, clearly using his ERS as well. Probably even some rich fuel mixture in here to try and hold on to this position. A bit of a useless fight, though, from Lance Stroll, because I can just go ahead and take the position nice and easily down the inside and towards the chicane now, and I can blast off into the distance. Stroll now already dropping back as we're now going to try and chase down Magnussen in this Grand Prix. lap 24 of the Grand Prix, and now we're chasing Magnussen. You can see here, Sergio Perez is actually behind us now, so we've undercut the Mercedes-Benz man of Sergio Perez. Bottas is going to be coming in at the end of this lap as well. We're now up into 4th place in this Italian Grand Prix, thanks to a massive undercut with drivers being a little bit late on their cars. We're now going to go for it down the Italian Magnussen. Magnussen took that. That was a little bit over-ambitious, but at the end of the day, I was really fueled up in that overtake. I probably shouldn't have done that. I honestly thought that where I broke was enough. Never mind, it is what it is. But crucially, though, smashing cars aside, we've not only just set the fast lap of the Grand Prix, but look at the top right of your screen. Lewis Hamilton didn't stop for a set of dry tyres. He's trying to go to the end on those intermediate tyres, but look at the gap between Hamilton and Ricciardo. It's coming down absolutely rapidly. Ricciardo is 3.9 seconds now behind Lewis Hamilton. Now it's only 4 seconds. He's literally, now he's a couple of tenths behind Hamilton. He might get him in towards the chicane here, so Hamilton is trying to stay out on the intermediate tyres here, but on the last lap of the Grand Prix, he's going to lose that now to Daniel Ricciardo. As we now go towards the chicane here, we've now got the predicament as Ricciardo now has overtaken Hamilton. He now leads the Italian Grand Prix on the last lap here. Hamilton's tyres must be absolutely dead. Crucial thing is now is, can we pass Lewis Hamilton? And for Hamilton's sake, is he actually going to get on the podium? Because Perez is all over the back of me here as we're trying to save a little bit of fuel now in our back pocket. ERS now enabled onto the straight here to counter Perez and his DRS threat. Now as we go in towards Ascari, let's see how this works. That's a little bit wide though for Ascari. That's going to give Perez a great opportunity. We'll cut that one off very, very harshly there on Sergio. But now we're going to ERS down the straight here. Perez now literally trying to find a way through, but we're not going to let him pass at any form of cost here. Now towards Parabolica. We've got a problem here because Hamilton is going very slowly. I'm trying to push him a little bit to just get himself through. Ricciardo wins the Italian Grand Prix. We're now trying to give Hamilton a little bit of DRS. Can he make it to the start-finish line on the podium places? That was so close. But for us, though, it is last to second at the Italian Grand Prix. That is absolutely fine by me. A really nice recovery drive. The only move that I was probably a little bit skeptical about and probably should have not done or given the place back to was Kevin Magnussen, the Racing Point. I tried to do my traditional brake early and then let the car roll in tactic, but by the time I'd committed to doing my roll in, I didn't realise how quick Magnussen was able to get onto the brakes. Sorry, a lot later Magnussen was able to brake than I was. So by the time I'd done my roll in, I just had to go for it thinking I'm going to damage my own car. In the end, I actually didn't, but yeah, bit of a shame there for K-Mag. But Daniel Ricciardo does win the Italian Grand Prix, so big up to Daniel Ricciardo. And I believe that's his 3rd win of the season now. He won the British Grand Prix, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and he's now won the Italian Grand Prix. So yeah, very positive stuff there from Daniel Ricciardo. And yeah, that's really cool for him. So yeah, big respect to the Renault driver. Like I said, he's outperforming that car to an absolute treat. But as you can see, Hamilton just gets a podium ahead of Sergio Perez. But I think that's 8/1000ths of a second. Yeah, I think it is. Jack Aitken was the only man to retire, but I think it was 8/1000ths was the gap by the start-finish line. Yeah, it was. 8/1000ths. Literally a photo finish for that one. Ricciardo moves to second in the championship now, 89 points behind us as we continue to strive forwards. Of course, these are the 2 races where I was looking at damage limitation starting from the back of the grid, but we've managed to get P1 and P2 in the 2 races, which is absolutely sensational. Constructors Championship, we've got a 141 point gap over Mercedes-Benz, which is absolutely brilliant. So as you can see then, yes, Claire, it was very exciting, especially that last lap then. As you can see, so obviously with us having a very big championship lead, she is actually starting to talk about the championship being in the bag, but at the end of the day, you can't stop giving 100%, and until we've won the championship.
How's your grid penalty going to affect your strategy going into the race?
You do realise the race is over, you absolute retard. We've done the race. Like, did you not? You're an idiot. Yeah, but cut my way through the field for the race. It was actually due to strategy that I managed to get my way through the field. I praised the power unit because it was really strong today because I set it up like that. But if you look at it, we gained so many places from undercuts, just getting the strategy right. So that was the main form of it. A little bit of aggression, but you know, it is what it is. Look, I'm ready for a fight. Like, if you're gonna complain about it, I'm ready to battle. Look at me go. But as you can see, that rivalry now is 16-10 to my favour against Bottas. And now in terms of the acclaim here, we're actually getting very close now to level 19. And of course, when we get to 20, we do get ourselves an extra sponsor for the car, which will be brilliant. So even more investment going forwards. But unfortunately, we're starting to struggle a bit now with the satellite sponsor to get 100 laps during a weekend. And as per usual, I get 50k damage reduction. I don't actually mind that one because I made a bit of contact today, you know. So, yeah, that's probably justified. But now, in towards the team headquarters here, we're going to go ahead and get a power equipment upgrade on. We're going to do a sponsor advertisement for the drivers, and then also an G-Force training for Lewis Hamilton. And with that being said and done, hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's episode. If you have, feel free to drop it a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here as well for some more Formula 1 content. But we're having a look at the facilities, seeing what I fancy doing. I don't know if I make any upgrades in this episode, but definitely going to be looking at some other stuff very, very soon. In terms of the upgrades, though, I'm going to go ahead and do a double minor durability, one for the energy store, and then one for the control electronics to build that up again. But guys, that is me done for today. I will see you next time. Take care all. Peace.